Hi, this is Scott Henderson, and you're watching for GuitarPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for GuitarPlayersOnly.com. Here we are today at the 2016 Winter NAMM Show, Anaheim, California, with our special guest, Scott Henderson. How you doing, Scotty?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
To be here.
I have been such a fan of yours for so long, back from the Tribal Tech days, back, about 100 years ago?
Seems like it.
And I've gotten to know Gary Willis, and boy, I still enjoy those records. Dr. He, is it? And all that stuff.
That's so old, I can't even remember that far back.
Yes, it's an important part of history, though, and I'm glad I still have those CDs. They remember what CDs are, right? Scott, I want to talk to you about what you've got going on now, because I understand you've got a very cool band, you've got a new record, and I see your name a lot. You're playing at the Baked Potato all the time, and bring us up to date on this new project that you have and the new recording.
Well, I mean, for the last 10 years, I've had this trio with Travis Carlton, Larry Carlton's son,
Yes,
and Alan Hertz. We've been touring for 10 years. Every year we go to South America, Asia, Europe, and tour in the States a little bit, mostly on the East Coast. And we just did a new record. It's called Vibe Station, and that's doing really well. I'm writing for a new album, and we have a new tour. We have a tour coming up in April in Europe. We have another tour coming up in October in Asia, and more States tours in September. So we're working a lot. So I couldn't be happier. Things are good.
well, I don't mean to keep bringing up Tribal Tech, but what are the people coming out expecting to see, and how is this music different from the music that may have been their first introduction to you and your music?
It's more bluesy because I'm playing more of the music that I grew up with, which was blues. So this music definitely has a more blues edge, but there's still a lot of harmony. So in a lot of ways it's like Tribal Tech harmonically, but there's no keyboard player, it's a trio. So I got really tired of working with keyboard players. I spent many years playing with Jean-Luc Ponty, who had a keyboard player, Chick Corea.
Who is a keyboard player?
Yeah, Joe Zawinul. I played with Joe for almost 4 years. And, and then Tribal Tech. And I mean, keyboard players tend to take up a lot of space, and they're comping for themselves. They don't need you to comp for them. They're comping for you. Your guitar player's role in a band with a keyboard player is more like a saxophone player than a chordal instrument. I got sick of that, and I've spent way too much of my career doing that. So for the last 10 years, I haven't played with a keyboard player, and I only play trio now. And it helped me grow as a guitarist, Stuff I do is a lot more chordal. I have to play the melody and the chords at the same time, which has made me a better guitarist and a lot more challenging, a lot more fun. Writing for trio is a challenge because you have to write in a chord melody style. And anybody that does a chord melody style, you really need to develop your own voice. And I've been able to do that, not because I'm consider myself any better than anybody else, but just the nature of the way I play, which is little distortion, and playing chordally, I can't play these big block chords because it's a little distorted and you get it's too muddy. So I've found a way to use open strings, smaller voicings, and develop a style of chord melody that is me, and if I had stayed in bands like Tribal Tech, I never would have developed my true voice, which is what I continue to develop, and that I'll continue to develop for the rest of my days, hopefully.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I know you've got a pretty good arsenal of equipment all the way across the board, but I wanted to ask you about one thing in particular, the exotic pedal that you use. Tell us about that.
The RC Booster's my desert island pedal. It's a boost. Everybody knows what a boost is. And the thing that's different about this particular boost is it's extremely transparent. Doesn't color the sound of your amp whatsoever. Like, say, what a tube screamer would do. It has its own sound. You can tell when you're playing through one. With this pedal, you just get more of the amp, and it doesn't color the sound at all. And another great thing about this new model is that there's 2 gains, and a knob a button that turns the pedal on and off, and another one that can change the amount of gain. So you can have a gain for chords and a gain for soloing.
Wow.
Which is really nice, because if you really want the best tone, most people know that 1-channel amps give you the best tone, because you don't have to split the tone into 2 channels. So for the guys who are really into tone, play a blues style, and that really want the tone of the guitar without any kind of degradation of the sound, use a 1-channel amp. With the normal boost, if you set it for gain to do a solo, you'd have to turn your guitar down pretty far to get it to clean up. Usually I have to turn my guitar down to like 4 or 5. And by that time, it gets darker, sounds smaller. With this boost pedal, I can cut the gain in half, maybe turn my guitar down a notch to 8 or 7. And the guitar sound is much bigger. You don't lose all the highs, and it's just beautiful.
Does your guitar go to 11?
Everything I do is at 11. I'm one of the loudest players on earth.
How about the future, Scott? What do you have coming up? You're going to keep doing the touring thing, or do you have?
I mean, as long as I'm one of those guys, I really hope to tour until I'm 90. I mean, I love touring. I love being on the road. I love playing every night. So as long as I'm healthy, I'll keep doing it.
What about, are there any other projects or anything that you've had on a list? Someday I've always wanted to, or one day I'm going to?
No, not at all.
Just take it as it comes.
Once you've played with Joe Zawinul, that's the peak. You know, that's the greatest musician that ever lived. You know, so it's like, who am I going to play with after that? You know, I got to do my own thing. You know, I'm not going to be a sideman anymore. I learned a lot playing with Joe. It was a great experience. I see no reason to be a sideman again. You know, I learned enough from him to last me a long time.
I feel privileged to have seen him live many times.
I feel privileged to even listen to one of his records. You know, I think he's just the Mozart of our generation, and to be able to be lucky enough to have gotten to work with him for almost 4 years was a dream come true. You know, so I don't see anywhere to go but down after you've worked with somebody like that.
I was just watching a YouTube video of him with Cannonball Adderley from 1963.
That's amazing stuff.
With short hair and suit and tie, and I almost didn't recognize him.
And it's so funny because he sounds, you know, very much like, kind of generic back in those days. You know what I mean? He hadn't developed his voice yet, you know? And
wasn't playing any synths either.
No, and when you see those videos of him playing kind of just the traditional funk jazz of that era, who would have ever known that he was going to be one of the biggest innovators in music? You know, it just, wow, just happened kind of.
I bet that was one cool gig.
Yeah, one thing that was really great about him was everything he did was improvised. So in that way he was like Mozart, or from what I hear Mozart was like, you know, because everybody hears that most composers, like whoever, Beethoven went da 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 no da 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 no, and then da 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 da, yeah, that's cool, let's use that. You know, Joe never did that. Joe just improvised, right? So he could sit down and improvise at the piano, and 5 minutes later you have Birdland. That's a gift.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, not many people are blessed with that kind of gift. A lot of people are great composers, but they have to go through the process of elimination, which I do. You know, I'm a pretty good composer, but I am not a gifted composer. It's a lot of work. You know, I throw a lot of stuff away before I finally get to something that I like, right? And Joe never had to do that. You know, so there's people that just have the gift of, they hear it, they play it, it's done.
Scott, music has always been such a big part of your life, and guitar has always been such a big part of your life. What would you be if you were not a guitar player? Something outside of music?
Porn star director.
Porn star / director, or a porn star director?
I wouldn't want to be in the movies, but I could direct them. You do this, you do that.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll watch for that if you ever take up a second career. from the 2016 Winter NAMM Show, Anaheim, California, with Scott Henderson, a man of many talents.
Nice to be here.
I'm John Liebman. You're watching for GuitarPlayersOnly.com.